father, I don't know exactly what year it was, but he started working for Pepsi Cola, hauling Pepsi Colas out of Elizabeth City down here on the island,
Okay.
having to come down on the sand roads and cross the ferry and like that.
Oh, way back then.
Way back then, yeah, way
Did
back.
you ever go on a run with him?
Oh, I sure did all the
Did
time.
you?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I can remember when we would leave here, like real early in the morning, around about 5 o'clock, something like that, on that order to go up to catch the ferries. And the ferries there at Oregon Inlet, they would only run during the daylight hours. And underneath of the truck, I can remember it real good that my dad, he had this lumber, was like boards of like 2x6s or 2x8s or 2x12s, whatever he could find on the beach, and they would be shoved up underneath the truck. So
he kept him there.
He kept them there at all times. And we'd be going along, and the sand would get real soft like it does in the summertime. This was before we had the highway down here.
Right.
So he'd have to pull those boards out from underneath that truck and start boarding his way. Take one board and go a little ways, another board like that there. And it wasn't real easy, like, getting down here like it is today with the highways. Things have really changed a lot.
So he probably liked to bring you or your brother or somebody with him to help.
Yeah, he would like to bring anyone to help, especially in the summertime when the sand got extremely real soft like it does in the summer. And it gets real dry.
And so and then he'd take that ferry from this side across Oregon Inlet?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And what kind of ferry was that?
At that time, it was a wooden ferry.
Okay.
And it was kind of an old rinky-dink ferry that they would come over onto the up at Oregon Inlet, and they would have a chain hoist like rig that would raise up the front of the ferry, and then they would drop what we call the ramp down.
Right.
And that was made out of wood as well as a ferry, and then you drive your truck up on the ferry real slow. It's an old rinky-dink thing.
And how many vehicles would it hold at a time?
It seemed like to me maybe about 2 of the larger trucks and about 5 or 6 cars is what it kind of seemed like to me.
Not too bad.
So that's not too bad.
As tiny as I imagined. But that's a treacherous inlet.
Yes, it is real treacherous.
Was it treacherous back then too?
Yes, it was real treacherous back then. It's done a lot of changing, and the inlet itself has moved way to the southern. It's like all inlets do. They have a tendency to move to the side.
Right.
But in those days, the inlet was a lot wider than the inlet is now.
Oh,
a lot wider.
Really? And was that Toby Tillett?
That's right. That was Toby. Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. And he had a guy by the name of Pam. I can't remember. Pam Gallup used to run that ferry also.
Pam Gallup.
Gallup, right.
When you went on your dad for his Pepsi run, would he stop? Where would he stop to drop the Pepsis off?
Well, he wouldn't stop. He would go to Elizabeth City. That's where he would pick up the Pepsis at. So, and the highway never started to what we call Whalebone. Whalebone Junction up there. That's where the highway would start. And there was no what they call now. They call the big road and the old road. So there was no big road there. You had to go up what we call the old road, and that's the road over close to the ocean. It was just like a 2-lane highway.
From Manio into
from all the way from Whalebone to Elizabeth City, right? There was no bypass, what they called a bypass, or the big road there.
But it was paved.
It was paved, right, from Whalebone. And it was like an all-day affair from the time you left here until you went across the ferry and go to Elizabeth City and then come back.
Right.
Now, my dad, he did, if he would get down there in times, he would stop and drop some Pepsis off there to the fishing center there at Oregon Inlet.